How Ruben Amorim will set up Manchester United today. We're going to go through formation, tactics and starting players. Of course, if you're new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But anyway, let's get this party started. So before we dive into Manchester United and which players will be very well suited to Ruben Amorim's style and system, let's learn how he set up Sporting Club de Portugal. Ruben Amorim's go-to formation is the 3-4-2-1. In terms of roles, his team feature a ball-playing goalkeeper and 3 good ball-playing centre-backs, with the 2 outside centre-backs much more expansive than the one in the centre. In wide areas, Amorim deploys wing-backs, with the right wing-back more offensive, whilst the left wing-back is more of a passing or crossing option from deep. The 2 central midfielders are quite functional. In the current team, Højlund is the number 6 destroyer, whilst Morita operates more like a number 8 and will frequently become a box threat or at least an advanced passing option. Previously, these roles were occupied by João Paulinho and Matheus Nunes, respectively. In the forward positions, Amorim is quite flexible. His striker is a fairly complete forward, with the physicality and technical skills to receive passes as well as the mobility and aggression to run the channels. Meanwhile, the attacking midfielders do vary. Usually the left number 10 is a traditional attacking midfielder who creates chances and scores goals, whereas the right number 10 can be another attacking midfielder or a dynamic and tricky winger. So in terms of the overall shape and structure, the 3-4-2-1 will be Amorim's go-to structure. I think it suits Manchester United's squad. United have got centre-backs that could do very well in these outside positions. They've got enough workman-like midfielders to play in the 6 and 8 positions. They've got a lot of players that suit playing inside as inside forwards versus traditional wingers. They've got players that could play wing-back. They've got attackers that could drop back and play in those deeper areas. And they've got 2 very different number 9s that could be used in different ways for Ruben Amorim. So let's start in goal. Of course, Manchester United will continue with Andre Onana in goal. He's a player that it will be well suited to the football that Amorim will play. He doesn't necessarily need to have a super high position, doesn't need to sweep off the line in every sort of situation, but he needs to be a ball-playing goalkeeper. He needs to play less long passes and more simple passes to those 2 outside centre-backs to allow them to be the key progressors. Far too many times under Erik ten Hag, Manchester United were relying on Andre Onana to progress the play up the pitch, which resulted in a lot of long balls. I'm not saying that can't be utilised to hit the centre forward, moving into the channels, as we saw Victor Gyökeres do for Sporting over and over again over the last season and a half, but Onana playing those short, simple passes to the back 3, allowing those guys to progress the play. So let's move on to the centre-backs. For me, Man United recruited very well in the summer in terms of that position, with Matthijs de Ligt joining and Leny Yoro joining from Lille. 2 players that I think will easily get into this Amorim back 3. Matthijs de Ligt, of course, has got previous experience playing in a back 3 for Juventus. Could do a job at centre-back or even right centre-back, but I do think he will play in the middle and be the stopper defender, a key part of Amorim's system and shape. I think the right-hand side will be Leny Yoro, of course, a player that's got great ability and massive potential. In terms of what he could do for Manchester United, not only would it be jumping at certain times to help the team press, but his passing is very underrated. Still needs a little bit of development there, but again, you look at who Amorim's worked with in terms of those progressive ball-playing centre-backs. Ignacio and Ousmane Diomande are 2 players that have humongously improved under Ruben Amorim in terms of their ability to play out from the back. You know, the calmness, the ability to not only carry into those deep areas, but hit passes into that midfield line, to break the lines inside, or alternatively find that attacking midfielder with a ball into his feet. But I do think on the other side, Lisandro Martinez is a player that I love. I love how good he is on the ball. He's almost a playmaker at the back. But is he exactly suited to playing a back 2 in the Premier League? There's a lot of physical strikers in the league that can dominate him aerially. His best position for me, if you're looking at building a system out that will get the best out of Martinez, is actually the left-sided centre-back role in a back 3. This suits Manchester United's defenders. But let's learn a little bit more about Sporting Club de Portugal's build-up under Ruben Amorim. In possession, Sporting like to play out from their goalkeeper. This can see their build-up shape become a 2-4-2-2 in their own third, or even a 3-4-2-2 as they use their goalkeeper as an extra outfielder. Progression is mainly achieved through the outside centre-backs, who will play wide to their wing-back, fire line breakers into the forwards, or hit balls into space down the line. The narrowness of the attacking midfielders usually draws the opposition fullbacks away from the wide areas, meaning the clearance into the channels usually becomes good balls for Victor Gyökeres to chase. So looking at that build-up structure for Manchester United, of course, they've got 3 players that are very comfortable in possession, but also a player that's comfortable about moving into midfield. Matthijs de Ligt played in central midfield for Ajax until he was around 15. So Manchester United's shape and structure, creating that kind of 4-2-2 system, which is pretty meta in European football. That's De Zerbi's Brighton. That, of course, is Unai Emery's Aston Villa. The shape, of course, is created by the centre-back stepping out and moving into the midfield line to join the kind of number 6. The 8 is pushed forward and the number 11 is moved into a striking position, creating this kind of structure we previously mentioned, a bit of a back 4. Of course, with the goalkeeper being a ball player, 2 defensive midfielders, an attacking midfield line or a U-shape in midfield, and 2 forwards. This is the meta. This overloads a lot of pressing structures. And with Ruben Amorim, not only will they be able to play through and work those angles, but balls behind the defence and into the channels is a key thing in Amorim's system from the back. So it's something if teams come on to Manchester United, those long balls up to a Marcus Rashford, Erasmus Højlund, again, would work really well. But Matthijs de Ligt pushing into midfield, and again the 2 ball progressors in Leny Yoro, and of course Lisandro Martinez, really key in terms of finding those passes in between the lines. At times with Amorim Sporting, you'd see the centre-back fire it into the number 10, the ball being dropped back, and then the switch of play for the opposite wing-back. The width naturally created by this system allows that type of structure, where you can draw your opposition to one side and smash them with a switch of play to an underloaded side to create opportunities, but all coming from centre-backs. If we look at the statistics, Ousmane Diomande and Goncalo Ignacio were the 2 key ball progressors in terms of passes into the final third and progressive passes. So expect the stats of Leny Yoro and Lisandro Martinez to kind of reflect that way. They're going to be the guys that are carrying the ball out and playing forward. I also think this potentially is the position for Luke Shaw if Lisandro's not fit. I think Luke Shaw will be a good backup as that left-sided centre-back. Again, yes, he can play wing-back, but I think Ruben Amorim's wing-backs are a little bit more offensive than what Luke Shaw is. So expect him to kind of be the backup left-sided centre-back or even start. But it will be a bit of a utility man and could play either position. But let's put Martinez back in because, again, I think he's going to be the key guy as the left-sided centre-back, kind of with great experience to press high and so forth. But very much the build-up. The 4-2-2 will really get the best out of Man United's back 3. After Amorim's sides do progress the ball, of course, they do build in that kind of back 3 structure with the 2 defensive midfielders. That's Secundo Volante that's playing a box-to-box role and very much a ball winner. In terms of the overall shape, usually we'll see the 2 attacking midfielders narrow inside and the number 9 either run the channels, especially on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, or just sit as that focal point with the wing-backs super high. One of the big things as well with Sporting, I mentioned before in terms of how the outside centre-backs fire those passes forward. In terms of the middle centre-back, there's a lot of switches of play. That going to both of the wing-backs or one of the forwards that have made that move outside. A lot of fluidity and build-up, but the centre-back will switch to play, which will suit Matthijs de Ligt or, again, Harry Maguire if he is needed with a little bit of rotation, or even Johnny Evans. That centre-back position is quite well protected. In terms of Sebastian Cortés, he's a tall defender that isn't very mobile, but looked great in Ruben Amorim's system as a centre-back. Right, so let's move into midfield. The 2 player profiles we mentioned before of the number 6 and the number 8 is as follows. You want the number 6 to be an aggressive ball winner, to play very, very aggressive off the ball, to win it back in all different areas of the pitch. Whereas the number 8, you want him to play a little bit more box to box. Against weaker teams, you can see the number 8 moving to attacking midfield zone and almost making a band of 3 behind the striker with the 2 wing backs, creating this kind of 3-1-6 structure. What I like about Ruben Amorim is a lot of the tactical trends we're seeing. A lot of top managers do similar things. Think about Germany in the latest Euros. They built with a 3 and a 1 with one of the defensive midfielders, Toni Kroos dropping in, and Andrich usually sitting as the 6th position. Of course, Sporting or Manchester United will create it differently, with again the 8 moving into an advanced area. You've got to remember it's super fluid in terms of positional interchange. You can see that number 8 popping up in different areas. So I do think in terms of the 6, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Manuel Ugarte will come in as the number 6. and Kobbie Mainoo will be the guy playing the number 8 role. Both players so well suited for these positions. Emmanuel Ugarte played that position so well for Amorim at Sporting that he earned a move to PSG. In terms of his statistics, he ranked in the top 1% in the 22-23 Portuguese league season for the following statistics: pass completion, ball recoveries, tackles plus interceptions, and defensive actions that led to shots. He was an elite level ball winner. That's exactly what you want in that position. Manchester United will have to adapt their recruitment in terms of these two positions. They need players that can cover ground, that can win tackles, and then simply ship the ball forward. Of course, from Mainoo's perspective, he's got a really good profile to be that number 8. Morita at Sporting was a player that's quite dynamic, can slip tackles, can move high and low. Something that Kobbie Mainoo is very, very good. A press-resistant midfielder that's really good on the carry, that will give Manchester United something from a transitional perspective, carrying into those advanced areas, which I think will really suit the young England superstar. But I do think with Ugarte in there and his ability to cover ground is going to be vitally important, not only for a pressing situation. Of course, Sporting Lisbon, if the opposition have got the ball on one side, will collapse their team over, which will require a lot of coverage from that other defensive midfielder that's sitting on the side. At times they will go with 4 players on the flank. What I like about Amorim, they do switch between a man-to-man and zonal approach. I think that's what you need to do. You need to be adaptable when facing the opposition. But the big thing that they like to do is flood the ball area, which again is what works in European football. Too many times in Manchester United, we've not seen them flood the ball area or simply leave players free when pressing over to one flank. That will change under Ruben Amorim. But also with Ruben Amorim, at times with his pressing structure, Sporting did naturally drop into a 4-4-2 structure. That, of course, is one of the wing-backs playing slightly deeper. Let's say we're pressing the right-hand side, and it looking a little bit more 4-4-2 in the sense of one wing-back being super high and the other one kind of dropping over, being in a little bit of a deeper position. Again, Manchester United's outside centre-backs in the system need to be super mobile, hence why Lenny Yoro and Lisandro Martinez will probably get the nod from that position. But both central midfielders need to be able to cover ground, win the ball back, and then get it to their teammates. And looking at the Manchester United squad, Bruno Fernandes could actually play that number 8 role as well. We saw Pedro Goncalves, a fine attacking midfielder who's scoring goals for fun, actually be played deeper in midfield by Ruben Amorim, again giving them the freedom to move up. We've seen Bruno play deeper for Manchester United. He's got the energy to play that box-to-box role, getting up and down, obviously the passing from deep. When you look at his progression stats from central midfield at Manchester United across all the managers he's played under, they are absolutely elite. Around 10 passes into the final third, 10 progressive passes, and that's breaking those lines and playing forward, which definitely could be a role for Bruno against the weaker sides if you want to get an extra attacker in the starting 11. Of course, Bruno's probably more than likely going to play attacking midfield, but there is an option to play him a little bit deeper, or when chasing games, getting him into that deeper position will allow Amorim to potentially play with 3 strikers. But let's go back and throw Mainoo back into midfield for the topic of conversation right now. Let's move on to the wing-backs, a key part of Amorim's side. So before we dive into the wing-backs, let's understand how Amorim uses his wing-backs in the final third. Once build-up is achieved, Sporting push their wing-backs high and create a 3-2-5 attacking structure, although at times Morita will advance and create a 3-1-6. However, this is very situational. In the opposition's half, the centre-backs are very aggressive and push up high. This pushes the central midfielders much closer to the number 10s and the striker, creating big overloads in central areas. This central overload creates a lot of chances for Sporting, and we often see the outside centre-backs passing into the forward's feet, who will drop the ball back to a midfielder. The midfielder will then look to play a pass in behind for another onrushing forward. Sporting's wing-backs aren't involved as you'd expect, however their tactical role of holding the width is very important to stretch the opposition defences, creating as much space as possible for the central overload. That being said, if teams choose to defend the central space and leave the wide areas open, Amorim's wing-backs will deliver crosses into the box. So this is an area of the pitch where I feel Amorim will have to be a bit adaptable and look for solutions either from the academy or from the current squad. Manchester United have consistently used their fullbacks inside for the last few seasons under Erik ten Hag, and I'd argue that you're probably better to play them on the outside and play your forwards inside, given the profile of those inside forward players. So of course, Ruben Amorim started life at Sporting Lisbon with Pedro Porro as an attacking right back, and he really improved the former Manchester City graduate it. And that's where Diogo Dalot comes in from an offensive perspective. What I like about Diogo Dalot when he's playing in those wide areas, he's got that ability to drop a step over and get across into the box. But also, he's kind of smart and intelligent in terms of timing his runs in behind the back line. Yes, there's still work to be done on his end product, but with someone like Ruben Amorim that has really improved wing-backs, that is an exciting proposition on the right-hand side. In terms of the left wing-back position, I think the academy has got to be the solution. I think Luke Shaw is probably more suited to this outside centre-back position, a fantastic footballer from deep that can play through the lines and carry forward, and argue that Luke Shaw in certain matches could operate as a wide centre-back. That's a player that, again, in the final third, could make those runs either on the inside of the wing-back or on the outside of the wing-back, overlapping, similar to the concept we saw Chris Wilder bring to the Premier League, having attacking players in these positions, giving United another body in the final third to break teams down. But I would say that naturally, Manchester United could probably use a bit of recruitment in January to get a player there, or alternatively, bring Harry Amas into the starting 11. I think for me, this is the number one solution to the problem, bringing someone like Harry Amas, a technical footballer that's got a lot of promise. The big things with Harry Amas playing in a back four that you could potentially look at as a weakness would be his physicality and his ability to jump. That being said, you've got 3 centre-backs now. So you're okay from that perspective. You want a player that's going to be good on the ball, that can carry forward and can attack. Harry Amas has got all that quality to do that job. So I think definitely from a left wing back position, especially in the short term, it's about using the youth academy in that position. It's a position that you need to be good at crossing the ball, you need to be good at creating chances, all things that Harry Amas has the quality to do. There also needs to be flexibility in that position in terms of him potentially moving inside if the attacking midfielders move wide and attacking that centre space, which we've seen him do for Manchester United, especially in pre-season. So Harry Amas could be the easy solution. I think someone like a Anthony potentially could be used there. Alejandro Garnacho, maybe as well in that position to be maybe more of an offensive player. When you look at what Ruben Amorim has used over the last season, Catamo has been a player that he's used, an attacking wingback, arguably a winger that's a left-footed winger that likes to attack you. Played him on the right-hand side as well as the left-hand side. And this season, Ruben Amorim has used 17-year-old Quenda. What I like about Amorim is he is not afraid to give academy graduates debuts. United's academy right now is cooking. And that is something that United need to do over and over again. Or another solution from the academy to play that position is Ethan Williams. He's a player that I really like, who's intense in attack and defence, can play all down the left-hand side, all down the right-hand side, has the ability to go on the outside, inside, and has got a really good shot on him. Again, a young player with big potential. I think he really suits the profile of a Ruben Amorim wingback. Player that can create chances, that's going to get it wide in the final third and make things happen. Forcing our inside forwards inside, meaning that Man United have another attacker in the final third. So it's now time to talk about the attacking unit, the front three, the striker and the 2 attacking midfielders. Amorim has a plethora of talent which could solve different problems in different games, which is super exciting. I think starting with the number 9, because Amorim has turned Victor Gyökeres into the best striker in world football right now. This calendar year, Gyökeres has scored 30 goals, more than any other player. I'm talking Haaland, Mbappe, the entirety of Europe. Gyökeres is a player that is supreme with the ball at his feet, likes to hit the channels and receive and either create or score goals himself. He's a player that can hold up the play well as well when looking for those passes into feet, but also is a really good combination player, knows when the quick pass is on. Combine that with his finishing power from every side of the box, every part of the box. He is a top level number 9 that has gone from being a championship striker with big potential to being one of the best in the world under the Portuguese coach. So for Manchester United, when you're looking at the profile of Gyökeres, Rasmus Højlund is the player that probably jumps out first for me. Gyökeres, as we've spoken previously on this channel, is an advanced forward, a player that loves getting in the channels. Also a player like Gyökeres that loves to dribble, something that Man United have underutilised with the Dane being at Old Trafford. I'm so excited to see Rasmus Højlund under Ruben Amorim. I think there could be some massive improvements there in his overall game. Again, we've got to remember, we keep forgetting, Joshua Zirkzee and Rasmus Højlund are young forwards. They are not the finished article, but having someone like Ruben Amorim to coach them into being better players is so exciting. But also when you look at Joshua Zirkzee's profile at Bologna, he was another carrying forward. a player that liked to dribble. He had more dribbles completed than any other striker in the competition. But also in terms of his profile, a little bit slightly different. You know, we mentioned this previously. He's a player that likes the ball into feet to, you know, get the strikers, you know, or attackers in and around him involved in the game. He's a player that likes to arrive late, not maybe a natural goal scorer in the 6-yard box. That's probably more Rasmus Højlund. But there's something I've floated a few times on this channel, and that's playing both of them together. This is something that could very much happen in this shape and system, you know, with either Joshua Zirkzee leading the line to drop off and receive to feet, which would open up space for Højlund to run in behind, or alternatively that other move where Rasmus Højlund's going to be the channel player and Zirkzee's going to be one of the attacking midfielders, receiving into feet and then shipping it to a teammate, or, you know, playing the likes of Rasmus Højlund in behind. I like the idea of playing both. But looking at what Amorim will probably do with this setup, of course, it's probably more than likely going to be Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford as the number 10 and the second striker. Of course, when you're looking at the Sporting Lisbon team with Pedro Goncalves, he's a player that is a goal-scoring midfielder that's been great for him in Portugal. But combine that with a Trincao, maybe a tricky winger that plays narrow, that's what you're going to get with Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes. Again, kind of the fluidity of both players will allow them to pick up areas in different zones. But the most important thing for both of these guys is they're playing in central areas, especially for Marcus Rashford. Getting close to the number 9 is so important, and getting him to take shots. Crazy, right? Get your best finisher to have a few more shots. Seems like I've stumbled on something crazy there. But I do think the forward positions are super flexible. At times you'll see, you know, we saw with Sporting that you have like two forwards with the more playmaker player dropping in behind. You know, it's so fluid in terms of the build-up. We'll see forward motions and runs in behind the defence, which again is something that's quite needed at Manchester United. With the play out from the back as well, you know, the idea of long balls and counter-pressing is something that Amorim likes. So that being a quick play from front to back could really open up teams and allow United to get into the final third. But I do think the squad has got such great depth in these attacking positions. You know, I even spoke about Amad Diallo and Alejandro Garnacho, that's arguably Man United's best attacker this season in terms of goal involvements. But United are truly stacked in this zone. You're thinking you've got two quality number 9s, you've got two players that can play inside right, two players that can play inside left, and that's without even talking about Mason Mount that could play this number 8 role. We know Mason Mount's got the energy to play that role back and forward. And I also think with a back 3, because now you've got 3 centre-halves, you can afford to play a more dynamic and smaller midfield, which could see Mason Mount playing in that deeper role. Alternatively, we've already spoke about Bruno Fernandes playing deeper. This squad arguably has been built for Ruben Amorim. When you think about the signings over the summer, were they always meant for Ruben Amorim? You know, we're talking about Ugarte. The reports were Ten Hag did not want Ugarte. Ugarte played his best football of his entire career under Ruben Amorim. You add that to the fact that United bought 2 centre-backs. I would have done that in the summer because I thought United needed to really reinforce in that zone. But you think about the starting lineup, playing 3 players, you know, Martinez, De Ligt and Lenny Yoro is probably quite smart. The big thing I think United need to look at is the wing-back position. Of course, we've not even mentioned Matt Tarrawi, that would definitely be in and around the squad as a right wing-back, but he's probably more of a player that I would expect to maybe could be a backup right-sided centre-back, superb in possession of the football, and could provide that Luke Shaw job we previously mentioned. I think the left wing-back position is somewhere where Man United need to recruit. And I said about 2 years ago that Man United should be buying an elite-level wing-back. Should have been Alphonso Davies. Surprise, surprise. There's links and rumours and reports. But until that point, you know, looking at Harry Amass and looking at Williams, I think that's 2 really good options, with Luke Shaw obviously operating in that zone as well. But just look at this setup. Just feels very, very right for Manchester United. Ruben Amorim is going to be superb at Old Trafford. I'm so excited to see the back 3 take over the Premier League. I've been Statman Dave. Let me know in the comments below how you think Ruben Amorim will set up Manchester United. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel.